Excited to be joined for the second panel by Brandi Bragg, who's with the Northeast North Carolina Career Pathways, where she serves as a facilitator. Dr. Gary Brown, who is the Vice Chancellor of Student Affairs here at Elizabeth City State University, and Lenora Jarvis-Mackey, the Executive Director of the River City Community Development Corporation. Thank you to all three of you for being with us. Gary, I can't wait to have Michaela join us at UNC Chapel Hill, so thank you for all the good stuff you're doing. It would be nice for us to believe the equation to student success was simply going to an institution of post-secondary educational attainment and working very hard. But we all know it's not that simple. So talk to us a little bit of the kinds of support services that students often show up needing.
Absolutely. So I think in general, when people think about higher education, they think about it from just an academic perspective. And certainly that is kind of the outcome that we're trying to get students to, is how successful are they in a classroom to earn the degree or the credential so that then they might be successful once they leave the institution. But our commitment here at Elizabeth City State University is one that goes back even to our founding. We're a place that provides opportunity. And in order for us to make good on the opportunity, it requires us to look at our students holistically and think about, what needs actually exist. And so anything that you could potentially speak of or think of, we are offering here at the institution. So as it relates to mental health and well-being, we have a strong focus on that, have grown our counseling support services and our partnerships to even offer telepsychiatry support for students who might present with mental health concerns. We have a very vibrant kind of student engagement approach to the work that we do that is designed to develop them to relate to each other, right? So it speaks to these issues of diversity and equity and inclusion, similar to what Michaela referenced. Those programs, Champion Scholars and Sister to Sister, are really designed to develop a sense of community. And we find different pockets of community within ECSU, not just those two programs, but in the honors program or in living learning communities that we've developed in the residence halls, or even the supports that we provide from our Dean of Students office related to emergency assistance for special needs that might arise for students financially, or a food pantry for students who might present as food insecure. And so we are trying our very best to wrap our arms around our students, because we know that when we do that, that provides them the level of support necessary for them to truly be successful and not to be stressed by the things that might be going on outside the institution, so that then they might focus and meet their full potential.
Thank you. So Brandi, we've heard about a number of potential barriers that students may face. Talk to me a little bit about how, as a region, you all are collaborating to try to address some of those barriers.
Absolutely. So actually led by Elizabeth City State University, we have a group working in 3 counties here in the Northeast, Pasquotank, Washington, and Tyrrell, called Empower NC. And it's through My Future NC. It's a local education attainment collaborative. So we're looking for people to, attain credentials, but we also recognize, working in this group, that there are a lot of barriers. And so some of the things that we're looking at are, how can we help to address those, really focusing specifically on those 3 counties, even though we know it's a need across the entire Northeast. So we've started this with communication, right? Because we understand that a lot of people just aren't aware of what is available in our region. So that's where we began. We have a website that's up, and we're working on passing information out through our partners to specifically groups that are underrepresented in our educational areas. So It's been a really great process, and we've still got a long way to go. And I'm happy to say that all of the people on this panel are part of this, and Dr. Carter from the previous panel as well.
That's wonderful. And in full transparency, the ncIMPACT initiative has been working with this group. So many of the things I heard, Lenora, housing, food insecurity, social development, are things that nonprofit organizations, particularly those in comprehensive community development, have been doing for some time. So talk to me about how a nonprofit organization leans into this kind of community collaboration. What do you bring to the table?
Thank you, Anita. I think that the nonprofits in Elizabeth City and the surrounding areas bring quite a bit to this conversation and to this region, because I know that having been in the nonprofit sector for going on 33 years now, that without the work that the nonprofits do and what we bring to the table, we would really be suffering as a community. What we need as a nonprofit is to get more involvement from the community and from our local government in terms of engagement. And I think once we have that, at least a good beginning, a good start, the work that we do would be much more significant. I always say that it's about education, as Brandi has said, that people really understand the significance of nonprofits, because what we know is the work that we provide, housing, food insecurities, working with the homeless, working with young people that have lost their way, is that, without that and without the support of local government in our community, then the resources that we need are not there. And so if we can form those collaboratives and get those entities involved, I think that we could do even more.
So that's really very helpful to think about, because what we know is many people who start but do not successfully complete post-secondary don't stop because of academic reasons. They stop because of these other reasons. Mm-hmm. We've been talking a little bit about students who are coming through college, but I want to take a little bit of a broader perspective with you for a second, Brandi, and talk about workforce development more broadly. Are you seeing these same sort of challenges even as you try to upskill, reskill adults who have been in the workforce or could be in the workforce?
Absolutely. I think, challenges happen for many people in our communities. And I know that here in the Northeast, the Northeastern Workforce Board has been working with the local United Way and some local attorneys to help people who have had justice involvement in the past. That can be a real barrier to employment. And they held an event recently with over 100 people that showed up. And there were other community agencies there that were able to help them, while they were waiting their chance to speak with the attorney. And the United Way paid for 15 of them to get expungements, which can help them. That's a barrier, for them to get to the education that they need and the employment that they need.
So that's an interesting single sub-community. Another one that strikes me that's important to think about are our veterans. What's happening there?
Yeah, we're very lucky to have such a robust veteran community here in this area. And thankfully, like our NC work centers have priority of service. So veterans can go in and really go to the front of the line to get help. And there are people who are specialized to help veterans. They're often veterans themselves, so they kind of know the ropes. So that has really been impactful in the area.
And are you seeing some of these same adults coming through your campus, Gary, adult learners with specific issues that they need to work through in order to be successful?
Absolutely. And so our commitment has been to try to provide the resources and supports necessary for those populations as well. So we have a very vibrant Veterans Center. We actually have renovated it twice in the last 4 years, placed it more centrally within our campus because they are so important to us. Our veteran and veteran-affiliated student population is about a little bit over 10% of our total population here at ECSU and growing every day. And there are a number of strategic initiatives that we've launched, some supported by other organizations like the Lumina Foundation that focus heavily on adult learners. And all of that really ties into our affiliation or our association as a member institution of the UNC system, where the UNC system has a broader goal of expanding adult learners and servicing of military and military-affiliated students. And we're just doing our part.
Absolutely. Brandi mentioned My Future NC. For our viewers, North Carolina has a legislatively adopted goal of reaching 2 million people with post-secondary credentials or degrees by 2030, and that isn't going to happen by just looking at K through 12. Necessarily, that means really doubling down on existing adults who could be upskilled to the point of economic mobility so that they could be qualified for higher paying jobs. Lenora, you work with the Youth Build program. Could you just say a little bit about what that is and what are the barriers that you see those young people facing?
Okay, we have Youth Build program, and we serve individuals between the ages of 16 and 24. And we like to say that we call them opportunity youth because we don't like the term at risk. And these young people are, of course, those who have lost their way in the community. And we bring them in, we start where they are. And so it is a very comprehensive program in that we provide not just helping them to get a GED, but this year we've been able to give them a high school diploma. We have been working with Penn Foster. And so all of our students, although they have a choice, ironically enough, they have all chosen to get a high school diploma because for whatever reason, there seems to be a stigma with getting your GED. Although we know there are some very prominent people in the world that have gotten a GED and have moved on to do great things. But so we have them, they get their, as I said, the high school diploma. We also have a track for construction, so they're able to learn a trade and as well as getting an education. And so, as I said, it's very comprehensive because we have them come in. We have a mentoring program that's associated with it. We also have an AmeriCorps program that's associated with our Youth Build program. And those individuals are able to join the AmeriCorps program, do community service, and once they receive 450 hours, they get an Ed Award, which they can use to go on to a community college, to a university, and it's good for 7 years. So even if they had a situation where they had gone to college and they needed to pay off a student loan or whatever, they can use it for that as well. So the students are very, we have had students to come through the program that have been very successful. We've had students to come to the university, students to go to COA, and of course, as a part of that, we have a pre-CNA program. So it's our feeder program to the nursing program at COA as well. So it has been very successful, and just to give you a story of one of the young people that were in our program. He came to the university, graduated in engineering, and he is now he's very successful. He has a really great job. And when he came to us, he did not have his high school diploma nor his GED. And he was one that got a GED because at that time we were not offering the high school certificate.
I only want 10,000 more of those stories, and then people, I feel like our work will be almost at the end of chapter 1. Gary, not surprising that Lenora raised the benefit of having some funding. And at Elizabeth City State University, you have the NC Promise program. I'd like you to explain what that is and why you think that's important here.
Sure. So we are very appreciative to the North Carolina State Legislature for ensuring that we are an NC Promise campus. NC Promise basically offers $500 in-state tuition for North Carolina residents per semester, or $2,500 for out-of-state students. And so we are a very affordable option. We are actually the most affordable option in the state of North Carolina. But affordable doesn't mean cheap, right? Because we have a high-quality academic program, as you all have heard today, and the support services. Those things, and this NC Promise program really affords an opportunity to a number of students to pursue higher education at a reasonable cost, so that they're not leaving the institution with high volumes of debt, and actually can then earn.
Say that again, because for a lot of people, they don't understand that that's a barrier to economic mobility. If you graduate from college, but you graduate with more debt than the job that you will receive affords you to pay back, you actually haven't taken a step up the economic ladder. So say that again.
Absolutely. So NC Promise, let me rewind it. But NC Promise actually provides an opportunity for students to pursue a higher education degree and to graduate with as little debt as possible, so that when they get out and are earning money on their job that they got because of the degree they earned from ECSU, they're not spending all of that hard-earned money trying to pay back student loans.
Put it on a bumper sticker, Gary.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're excited about it for that. We were also excited about being included in NC Promise because with the tuition being set that way, it also is attractive to those who want to make a contribution to the institution and to make an impact. So individual donors, corporations, and the like see our tuition as an attractive option and wanting to make an investment. And we've seen that in the levels of support that have grown year over year as it relates to fundraising, and the amount of attention that we've been able to garner from corporations who say, you all are doing an outstanding job at supporting students towards their goals. And we want to make an investment, and we want that investment to be long lasting.
Are you making a pitch on my show?
Absolutely, for sure.
I just wanted to clarify for the people in the back who might have been wondering. That's great. That's really wonderful. You all, I'm going to come to you in just a minute with questions, so if you'll make your way to the mic, that would be great. So we're trying to unpack some stuff here, Brandi. Let's talk about what it means for your agency to have been the first to get a certified pathway approved by the state of North Carolina. I'm loving all these, and we're the best, and we were the first, and we are the only. Y'all are kind of showing off in this region. I'm just saying, okay. But tell us a little bit about what that means in terms of being approved with stackable credentials that help connect individuals to employers.
Sure. Just to give you a little background, Northeast North Carolina Career Pathways has been going for 10 years. And so a collaboration that can stay together for that long is pretty powerful. And because we have taken the data and we have worked with our partners, we've got 9 community colleges, including COA, we've got 4 universities, including Elizabeth City State, 100 of employers, community agencies, and we all work together to see what are these pathways, what does the data tell us, how can we help students find their way. And so we work really closely with our CTE directors particularly to help job readiness skills. We hear from employers all the time, people need employability skills. So we're embedding those into the things that we do in the classroom, at community college, at the high school level, and even in our NC work centers. So just all the way around trying to implement the employability skills and then let people know what are the jobs in your backyard that you can do and you can stay here and you can make good money and you can continue to be part of this community without having to go somewhere else.
But what's stackable? It makes me think of Jenga.
Kind of.
Is it?
Sure. So think about the pre-CNA program, right? They finish the pre-CNA program, they go then to the CNA program. Now they can do LPN, or they can do RN, or they can even go get their master's in nursing and become like a manager. So that's what we try to show people, because sometimes it's too big of a bite, right? So I want to be, a master's degree nurse. Well, I don't even have a high school diploma. How do I get there? So when you can stack it up for them and show them a piece at a time, just get that piece, then work on the next piece. It makes it available.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hello. We've heard a lot about some great opportunity throughout both presentations so far, and you actually just started to allude to my question, which is, how do we ensure that our students, as well as community, understand all these different opportunities? Because as a parent myself, I know some of my kids and myself just had no clue about what options were available. And if you could maybe give some examples of that, that'd be great.
Okay, so I'm going to give each of you an opportunity to just talk about awareness. How do you make sure that the public knows what's available right around the corner?
That's the hard part, right? I mean, we've got all this great stuff out here, but not everybody knows. So one of the things we've really worked on in this region through our collaboration is sharing information on social media, because it's free, so nobody can tell us we can't spend money on it. And then actually getting out into the community to talk about what we're doing. But it's a slow process. There's a lot of mindsets that need to change about what the world of work is. And what's available. So just building on that awareness. I actually got Dr. Brown a little earlier when he was in makeup. I took a picture of him for Twitter.
Because now all his friends know he was in makeup.
That's right.
You should not have done that, Brandi.
He looks great, But yeah, so getting the word out there that we're doing these things is what's really important, so people can grasp onto it.
Love it.
So I also think it is the continued collaboration, right, between all of the entities that you've seen today. I think if we all kind of band together, then we all can be equally successful across this region. And I think there are also some programs that we have that are available to us that help to get the word out about the opportunities that exist. TRIO programs in particular, which are funded by the federal government and are housed at many times at community colleges, and also certainly we have several of those programs here at ECSU, and they're focused.
Programs are for whom?
They are for underserved communities, generally minority. And for us, we have 4 programs on our campus that are TRIO focused, and they help to ensure that families and students understand what it takes to get into college. Some programs even walk them through the process of helping them to apply and to do the research related to financial aid and those sort of things. And so I think the more we can continue to push those programs and ensure that that information is shared amongst all of us, then the more successful we'll be.
Lenora, that's such a good question. You said that you've been in this work for 33 years, which leaves me thinking you started when you were 7 years old.
I did.
But I suspect that for 33 years, you've been hearing the how do we connect the people who need to know about these opportunities to that knowledge base. So what are your thoughts about this?
I guess my thoughts are I would have to concur with my colleagues on the panel, is that a lot of our service is done through word of mouth, especially in the youth build program. If a young person comes to the program and they have a successful tour, if you will, then they tell other young people in the program. But we also do a lot of outreach, and our outreach is in the community, where we go to organizations, we go to the barbershop, we go to churches. We actually have to do that type of outreach. And social media, because we don't have, written media, if you will, that publicizes what we do. They're very good about telling what we don't do, but it's hard to because that's a void in our community. We have one local newspaper, and it doesn't come out every day now, so, that's a drawback. So we have to do a lot of just going out in the community, making sure we put our flyers out, and connecting with other nonprofits. We have nonprofits that meet every quarter, and we have other nonprofits that meet on a quarterly basis, and they're sharing information and letting each other know what we do. And and at times, of course, we've been able to come to the university. We use their media. We're on the radio stations and so forth. And that has helped us tremendously in terms of getting the word out.
I love that that was our last question, because in so many ways, it is the hardest question. You can figure out systems to deal with housing shortages and food insecurity, and technology now allows us to have resources to support behavioral health that we would not have imagined possible. But in a world where there's so much information flying around, penetrating that and getting people to notice what could make all the difference in their lives and in their communities often really is the hardest work to do. So I, quite frankly, could not be more impressed at how you all are working together and using your various platforms and strengths and networks to share the word about all of the amazing opportunities available in this really remarkable region of North Carolina. I am honored to have been able to spend some time with you this evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.